Hi! Today we're talking about the new wheel and tire setup that I have on my 2019 Subaru Crosstrek. Let's get into it. So I'm going to hop right into it and tell you exactly what I got. These are the KMC 708 Bully wheels, and these tires are the Toyo Open Country AT3s. As far as sizes, the tires are 255, 75, R15s. The wheels are of course 15 inches with a 10mm offset. Now I've had this setup for about 2 or 3 months now, so I've been able to put some miles on it to really get an idea of how it would affect the ride, my gas mileage and everything else. So we're going to be getting into all of that. Now let's talk about these wheels. These are the KMC 708 Bully wheels, and the wheels come in 2 color options. They either come in black or bronze. I went with the black just because I think it flows really well with the rest of the car, and I couldn't be happier with them. They look fantastic. As I mentioned before, these wheels are a 10mm offset, which compared to the stock wheels means they are going to be pushed out closer to the edge of the car, which to me gives it a more aggressive stance, and I like that personally. As I mentioned before, the wheels are 15 inches. You can order them in a variety of sizes, but 15 is the only one that's going to fit on this car. Now, what I like most about this whole setup is the fact that it was an easy take off the old wheel, put on the new wheels, and I haven't had any rubbing issues, and I didn't even have to adjust the speedometer. Now, the reason it was so easy to take the old wheels off and put the new wheels on is because the new wheel is smaller, but the new tire is bigger. Now, if I can break that down a little bit farther, the new wheel is 15 inches. Combine that with the thicker sidewall of the new tire, you get your total diameter. Now, if we look at the old wheel, it was 17 inches. Combine that with the sidewall of that tire, and you get your total diameter there. But because the new tire is thicker compared to the old tire, and the wheels are different sizes, they actually offset, and they're pretty much the exact same size. The only difference being is 0.1 mile an hour difference on your speedometer, which actually wasn't big enough for me to have to change it, so I have no issues there. Now let's talk about tires. I went with the Toyo Open Country AT3 in a 255/75 R15 size. I went with this size for a specific reason because I didn't want to have to lift the car, and I wanted to make sure I didn't have any rubbing. I'm happy to say that I haven't had any rubbing at all in any situation, so that's very reassuring. When I was doing my research for the tires, I was either between the BF Goodrich KO2s or these Toyos. Eventually I chose the Toyos for a couple reasons. When you compare the 2 tires, they're actually pretty close. The Toyos are a little bit cheaper, and they're lighter. Those were the 2 big reasons that I ended up going with them. A lighter tire means better fuel economy, which is something that I wanted to retain because that's something that I really like about this car, and obviously cheaper price is never a bad thing. However, because the Toyos are cheaper, that doesn't mean they're going to last any less amount of time. The mileage warranty is about the same on both of them. So for me and what I wanted, the Toyos just made the most sense. Now let's talk about gas mileage. This is something that was really important to me, and I didn't want to ruin it with just putting on new tires. When I first got the car with the stock wheel and tire setup, I was averaging around 32.7 miles per gallon. With the new tire and wheel setup, I'm getting around 31.5 miles per gallon. This is all according to the onboard calculator that's in the car, but that gives you an idea of how much it's going to go down if you decide to go with this setup. Losing an average of 1 mile per gallon is something that I think I can live with based on how good I think this looks and with the added performance of the new tires. Now, if you watched one of my previous videos where I installed the new mud flaps on this car, now you'll understand why. The bigger offset on these wheels makes it so that they stick out farther from the car, which is something that I really like. However, because of this allows more mud and grime from the road to kick up onto your car. These new mud flaps are hopefully supposed to prevent that, and so far they've done their job. I also want to add that it might be smart to have a full-size spare, which is something that I learned the hard way. That little donut is not going to help you that much. A lot of tire shops are not going to stock this tire, so if you need it replaced, then you're going to have to wait. So, overall impressions, I really like this setup, specifically the way it looks. I think this looks so much more aggressive than it used to, and I am very happy with the way it looks. I've also noticed that the car soaks up bumps a little more comfortably now because of the thicker sidewall on the tire. And of course you get the added benefit of a more aggressive tire tread. And lastly, I didn't notice a big effect on the handling of the car, which is nice because that's something I wanted to preserve, and it seems like I've done that. The only downside that I felt so far is the gas mileage and the fact that the car feels like it has to work a little bit harder to get these tires moving. This is something that I really only noticed at the beginning, and I've actually gotten used to it, so it hasn't really been a problem. And if you have a manual versus the CVT, then you can account for that just based on how you want to shift. Overall, I really like how the package turned out. I like the KMC wheels and I like the Toyo tires. For me, I think it's the perfect package.